Eric Clapton is regarded as one of the greatest and most influential guitarists of all time, rocking with some of the greatest bands such as Cream, the Yardbirds, and legendary blues musicians John Lee Hooker and Muddy Waters. I'm One Bad Comic, and this is Vinyl Snacks. What's up, vinyl heads? Welcome to another episode of Vinyl Snacks, baby. That's right. Thank you once again, guys, for coming out. If you're new to this channel, again, this is all about vinyl records that I have. I love talking about them. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, like, comment. And if you're a regular, what's up? Welcome back, guys. Thank you very much for coming back. Today, we're going to talk about a super cool album that I have in my collection. This one right here. Eric Clapton, Just One Night. Eric Clapton was actually born on March 30th, 1945 in Ripley, Surrey, England. So he's from England, guys. As he grew up, he was led to believe that his grandmother was his mother, when in actuality, it was his quote-unquote sister that was actually his mother. When she was 16, she got pregnant with Eric and was not able to handle the responsibilities. So they put it around where his grandma was the one that was the mom. So he ended up finding out. I don't know if that had any issues with him, because I know he had some type of substance abuse with drugs and alcohol. So that possibly might have led to that type of issue. I mean, that'd be crazy if you find out that your mom is your grandma and your sister, right, was your mom. So that's pretty wild, you know. But as he was growing up, he really liked music a lot, and he was influenced by a lot of great music at that time, and he would actually learn to playing along to the records that he would listen to. So that's kind of where he learned to play music and the guitar. But this specific album was interesting because I looked it up on his discography on Wikipedia, and I couldn't find it, which was kind of weird. I was like, why can't I find this record? It turns out that it wasn't included in the discography because it was actually released in Japan, where it was actually recorded. So it didn't have an official US release. That's why it was difficult. It wasn't actually in his discography. What's up, vinyl heads? I hope you guys are enjoying this episode of Vinyl Snacks. Quick announcement: January 13th, I'm going to be at the LOL Comedy Club in San Antonio, Texas. Make sure you guys check it out. I'm going to be doing a showcase with some of the funniest comedians in San Antonio. So make sure you guys check me out. I'm going to be out there. You guys can look up tickets at my website at onebadcomic.net. Also, January 15th, I'm going to be at the Upstage Comedy Lounge in San Antonio, Texas. I will be headlining with some really good, funny comedian friends of mine. So make sure you guys check me out. And again, if you guys are looking for tickets, the ticket links will be available on my website, onebadcomic.net. Let's get back to it, baby. This one actually has a bunch of cool songs. It's a double disc album, so it comes with 2 records in it. When you open it, it's a picture of Eric Clapton playing a guitar looking like he's having an orgasm, which he probably is, and also a short little summary of Eric Clapton describing when he goes out to Japan. So it's a pretty simple sleeve on the inside. On the back, you pretty much see all the songs that he plays, which is a lot of his best songs, including Cocaine, which is one of his biggest hits. It's all about cocaine and the admiration for it. It also has a bunch of other songs, including one specifically that I love. It's called Wonderful Tonight, guys, which was actually written for a woman named Pattie Boyd, right? Pattie Boyd, if you guys don't know who this woman is, Pattie Boyd was actually George Harrison's first wife. I know. Oh my God. Drama. Yes. George Harrison was actually first married to Pattie Boyd. In the 1960s and early 70s, George Harrison and Eric Clapton were really good friends. At that time, Pattie Boyd was married to George Harrison, and all 3 of them would hang out all the time, and they spent a lot of time together. During that time that they were spending, what nobody was aware was that Eric Clapton was falling in love for Pattie Boyd. It got to a point where he couldn't hold it in anymore, and he sent an anonymous letter to Pattie Boyd expressing his love for her. He didn't write his name, he just wrote it under a synonym of the letter E. And then she didn't know who it was until a couple of days later when Eric Clapton asked her if she got the letter. And that's how she found out that Eric Clapton was in love with her. Now, Pattie Boyd didn't want nothing to do with Eric Clapton or wanted to get in any type of entanglement with him because at that time, Eric Clapton was engaged to another woman. Not only was he engaged to another woman, but he was also having an affair with that woman with Pattie Boyd's sister. So he was also seeing her sister while he was saying that he was in love with her. I know, it's wild, dude. Plus, not to mention, it's George Harrison, his friend's wife. Yeah, so it gets pretty wild, you know what I mean? In desperation, all right, because she doesn't want anything to do with it because of what's going on, Eric Clapton goes to a musician named Dr. John, right? Dr. John is a musician at that time, but is also known to have like these spiritual powers, right? So he goes to Dr. John and he's like, hey man, I want to have this girl. So the myth goes, legend goes, is that Dr. John helps him put pretty much a spell for this to work out for them. And he carried around a little straw in a small box or something like that, like a little spell box, and he had put it in his pocket, right? So that day that he did that, he goes and sees Pattie Boyd and tries to spend the night with her, and he's trying to win her over. But their time together is short-lived when George Harrison shows up where they're at. It is at that moment that Eric Clapton pretty much declares his love for Pattie in front of George Harrison. What? I know, dude. Super drama! So George Harrison pretty much is like, all right, well, if you want to, like, he asked her, like, who do you want to be with? That night, she decides to leave back with George Harrison. So she leaves to go back with George Harrison. Eric Clapton gets all bummed out or whatever, and after that starts going down a path of heroin addiction. I can't say that was because of her, but it was around that time that he starts getting heavily into drugs. So as time passes by, George Harrison continues with the Beatles and writes one of the greatest songs of all time called Something. Something was his first composition that made it onto the Beatles' A-side of the vinyl record, which is a big deal. The song Something was actually a song about Pattie. So Pattie influenced George Harrison to write one of his greatest songs of all time. Now, during this time, a little bit right after that, Eric Clapton comes and he writes his own song for Pattie called Layla, which is also one of his greatest songs that he ever wrote. Layla was a song written about Pattie. So he goes and he tells her, like, hey, look, I wrote a song for you. Can you check it out? She hears the song and pretty much she says it like, after I heard that song, I could no longer resist, and ends up getting with Eric Clapton. And then so 5 years after they get together, they get married. And not only does Pattie Boyd influence these two amazing songs, but she also influenced another great Eric Clapton song called Wonderful Tonight, which was written by Eric Clapton for Pattie Boyd while she was getting ready and she was taking forever, and he wrote that song about Pattie Boyd. So Pattie Boyd is this like musical muse that influenced these two giants of music history to write these beautiful songs about her. Eric Clapton's marriage to Pattie Boyd lasted, I don't know how long it lasted. I think about 6 years, I believe. And they ended up getting divorced in late 80s. But still, it's kind of a cool, interesting story. And then everybody's like, well, George Harrison hates Eric Clapton. No, it's the complete opposite. Those guys remained pretty close friends even after all this had happened. So much so that George Harrison would call Eric Clapton his husband-in-law. So that's pretty wild, right? So those guys still remain friends, and all three of them speak really highly of each other. I know that they've written books about each other, and they talk about the triangle that they had, and but everything pretty much seemed like it worked out for everybody in the end. But what a crazy story to talk about, right? Because you never know, man. Love is interesting. It takes you all these places, and you never know the greatness that comes out of it. And again, we're technically the ones who really got lucky, because we got some great songs that came out of it, you know. So that's pretty neat. And so yeah, I guess that's about it, guys. Like I said, Eric Clapton just won a great album. Check it out. It's a great live album. If you like live albums, I highly recommend you check this one out. So I guess that'll do it for today's episode of Vinyl Snacks. I want to thank everybody that tuned in today, and keep let me know in the comments what's your favorite Eric Clapton song, and what do you guys think about that? Would you be cool with having that type of relationship with somebody? Let me know in the comments. I appreciate you guys. I hope to see you guys on the next episode of Vinyl Snacks.